On June 7th, in London, England, the UFC welterweight division will see a fight for the ages.
I think Thiago is in his way up. You know, Matt is in his way down.
If you're in good shape, it doesn't really matter how old you are until you get real old.
34-year-old Matt Hughes.
Is as great a champion as we have ever witnessed.
The most dominant welterweight in UFC history. Takes on 24-year-old rising star. Thiago Alves.
Once the pit bull bites, I won't let go.
Thiago Alves continues to rise.
He's on the rise and trying to make a name for himself.
It's a big opportunity for me, so I hope he brings his A game because I'm gonna bring mine.
Also on the card are two of the world's top heavyweights. Muay Thai expert Brandon Vera and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu expert Fabricio Werdum.
Probably the #1 danger I've fought so far. He's the best, most well-rounded guy I've fought.
Fabricio!
I don't find this fight already thinking about the title in December. That is why I want it to be by knockout.
The greatest welterweight of all time, Matt Hughes versus Muay Thai wrecking machine Thiago Pitbull Alves. Punishing heavyweight contender Brandon Vera takes on former Pride star Fabricio Werdum. The countdown to UFC 85, Bedlam, starts now. Matt Hughes and Thiago Alves have very little in common. Hughes was raised and lives on a farm in Hillsboro, Illinois.
I live what I would say very modestly around here. Got a house that a lot of people would drive by and wouldn't look twice at it. My kids are gonna get raised here, I'm gonna die here. And I love the people here, along with the hills and the country.
I think we have 4 signal lights in Hillsboro, and I think that's too many.
Alves grew up in Brazil and now makes his home near Miami.
South Florida, especially here in Fort Lauderdale, South Beach, it's kind of like Brazil in a little bit. It's 24/7. If you want to party every day in the week, you can.
What Thiago will do if he was forced to switch places with Matt, I don't know. It probably would cut his wrists. I don't believe Thiago could be living in a small town.
I gotta have fun. I gotta enjoy life.
Just two different people, Thiago and I.
Hughes and Alves have met before, but not in the octagon, and it was far from friendly.
We were at Orlando, and one of the owners there invited Matt to do a seminar.
Thiago had recently debuted in the UFC, a tap-out loss to Spencer Fisher via triangle choke. The loss was fresh in his mind when he met Matt Hughes.
He called me out in front of everybody. Hey, yo, Pitbull, back then you got here late, man, you know? I mean, I was about to teach how to defend a triangle.
It doesn't ring a bell, but I'm always throwing jokes and this and that, and that's just the type of person I am.
I just know that Thiago didn't like it. I guarantee you that Thiago is going to remember that.
Matt's got a real dry sense of humor, so a lot of times he thinks it's funny and he expects you to laugh and go punch him in the arm or something, but it doesn't come across in what he says.
I don't know if Matt Hughes remember that, but I do. I don't forget one day.
Thiago rebounded after losing to Fisher.
And it is over!
Winning 4 of his next 5 fights.
He got rocked by Thiago Alves!
But the 4th victory, a knockout of Tony D'Souza, came with a penalty.
I got caught for diuretics. I got 8 months suspension, fine, and $5,500. I did it, you know, it was my bad.
The diuretic, a potassium supplement, is known for helping fighters shed water weight and resulted in an 8-month suspension. Thiago's career was on hold.
I kind of cleaned up my head a little bit. I took some time for myself to get my things fixed and done because since I got here, I didn't have that much time to work on me.
He learned a big lesson out of that stuff. I think he's a better, mature person and fighter now.
A lot of things changed in 8 months, and I'm a better man now, so everything's good.
Since the suspension, Thiago has won 3 straight fights in dominating fashion. Including a second-round TKO of top contender Caro Parisian.
Caro Parisian is kind of the gatekeeper, and not only beating him, but knocking him out was really a big win for Thiago.
Defeating Matt Hughes would solidify Thiago's status as a contender for George St. Pierre's welterweight title.
You saw him, you know, take that step to that next level. He's in line for a title shot if he beats Matt Hughes.
The biggest fight ever for me. After this fight, I won up the belt.
Matt Hughes, meanwhile, seems to have a bigger fight on his mind. On his website, Matt wrote, "No matter what happens in this fight, I've got Sarah next."
Every fighter's got people that he'd like to see in the octagon. It's human nature.
What a dick. I want to beat his ass in the octagon.
I'd like to meet Matt Sarah in the octagon.
But Matt denies that he's looking past Thiago Alves.
I'm training specifically for Thiago right now, not Matt Sarah.
If Matt Hughes is going to overlook, he's going to have a big mistake.
You have to take Thiago very seriously. Take it step by step. Go through Thiago first.
For a guy like Matt Hughes, it's about testing himself, you know? He lost the title GSP. You start looking down the road and seeing, is it time for me to retire?
At Thiago's camp in Florida, there's no question the focus is on Hughes.
Hughes is a huge step. We're not overlooking him. Everybody knows what he can bring. Wow! I can see this fight going to the 3rd round, but I can see Thiago knock him out in the 3rd round.
It's going to get rough for Thiago after that 1st round. He's going to be significantly slower. When it comes to the 3rd round, I'm getting warmed up.
He got to throw some punch against Thiago. He got to do it. And that time, he's going to be dead, man.
You go back and look at the history on how many people I've taken down without getting knocked out, then the math's pretty simple there.
Matt Hughes is a dead man walking.
That's a bold comment. I'm the 9-time world champion here. If they think I'm a dead man walking, I like that. It tells me that they're a little overconfident. Thiago's a tough guy. He's very dangerous. But, you know, that's like me saying Matt's going to slam him right through the floor.
I hope he's in the best shape of his life because I'm ready. I've been wanting this fight for a long time ago.
I'll be stronger than he is, but he's very physical. He's an athlete.
We're going to outsmart him for sure, but we're going to knock him out.
Up next is the end in sight for the greatest welterweight of all time.
Matt's an older fighter, and you know what happens when you get older, you get slower.
I just don't know how much longer I've got in this. I gotta sit down, I gotta think about things.
In Matt Hughes' storied MMA career, he's beaten nearly every great welterweight in the sport's history.
Complete and total domination.
Matt's got a claim to being the best ever. He's done things that no one else has done.
That man is as great a champion as we have ever witnessed.
I've got more wins, you know, as a world champion than anybody else.
Hughes was the world's top welterweight for 5 years, until a loss to George St. Pierre cost him his crown. He fared no better in the rematch.
That wasn't me. I got in the positions and the situations I wanted, and I didn't pull a trigger.
And it's all over!
After the fight, Matt hinted that his MMA career could be over.
You know, a defeat like this in the second round against George, I just don't know how much longer I've got in this.
I'm not going to come out here and be somebody's highlight reel. It's just not me.
But just 7 months later, Matt finds himself back in the gym and even contemplating another shot at St. Pierre.
Obviously, GSP's beatable. He just got knocked out 2-3 fights ago. I beat him a couple years ago, so GSP's hot right now, but you know, he'll fall just like everybody does.
For Matt, that competitive spirit is born of a childhood spent in constant battle with the man he fought first, and most often, his twin brother, Mark.
Having a twin was pretty important to me growing up because, like I said, we were a mile away from anybody, and having that twin gave me somebody to play with when I was a kid. Whether it was splitting wood, stacking wood, bucking straw or hay, you know, throwing hay bales around. Well, then you get older and that play turns into competition. That's why I'm as competitive as I am, is because we were out here competing growing up.
Eventually, Matt and Mark realized that they could work better as teammates than opponents.
It started with my sister that was 4 years older than us. My sister would pick on us all the time. And then we figured out one day that 2-on-1 was a great thing. And then my sister didn't pick on us anymore because she knew that her fun was only gonna last till the other one got there.
We were just starting junior high, and there was a boy named David on the bus, and he was close to being out of high school. He was always picking on us, and we knew that. So I don't know if he came to me or I went to him and said, hey, you know, we need to take care of this guy. So we come up with a plan. Do you remember how we come up with the plan?
I don't know I just remember it happening.
And the plan was that when he faced away from me, I was going to grab him with his arms around his waist so he couldn't do anything, and then I was going to fall back in between the seats. Then Mark was going to be on top of him without him being able to defend himself. Mark was just going to punch him. He turned towards Mark, and I reached up, I grabbed him, and I just fell back. And then Mark started hitting him, and then after a little bit, I let go of him, and I just kind of rolled to another seat. He really never bothered us after that.
I remember hitting him in the face, I think. It's been a long time ago, but
that's been a long time ago.
Eager to fight, the Hughes boys took up wrestling in high school. Matt went on to become an All-American at Eastern Illinois University. Mark dropped out of college, but he and Matt kept finding fights.
We went to a party, and
this guy had his shirt off.
Yeah.
I mean, really playing the part, you know. I guess he was trying to intimidate me with his shirt off or something. And he's sitting there, and he's right here, and he's talking to me, and this and that. And I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking, you know, what am I going to do? Finally, I got sick of him sitting here talking to me, so I just grabbed him, I ran him across the room, and I put him through the window. And then it just kind of got crazy. The only people that knew how to fight were Mark and I, and everybody else was just trying to break it up. So we did whatever we wanted to, kind of. I mean, did you ever get hit?
Maybe, I don't remember getting hit.
I don't remember getting hit either.
But that was maybe a pretty good one.
Yeah, we took on a lot of guys and won. But, you know, that doesn't always happen.
It happened a lot when Matt began MMA fighting in 1998.
Bang! Armbar over!
Over his 10-year career, he's taken on all comers, winning 41 fights, 31 by knockout or submission. But in the loss to St. Pierre,
Matt Hughes is really getting overwhelmed in this fight.
He appeared overmatched, leaving UFC fans wondering if his best days are behind him.
Total domination by George St. Pierre.
When I was 24, I was very reckless. I threw people down, threw them around. You get older, you learn more, and you're just more cautious. I know how many ways there are to lose now.
Of course, no one would know better than his twin brother.
Matt's to the point, he's an older fighter, and maybe his only drawback is whenever he just pauses and waits for a reaction. The other guy's, you know, working on it already. When you get older, you get slower, and you get, you know.
Thiago Alves is just 24, 2 years younger than George St. Pierre. Hughes, at 34, must try to prove that he's not over the hill.
I don't think my age had anything to do with it. Look at Chuck Liddell. You know, he's 3 or 4 years older than me, and he's still pulling the trigger.
Is Matt Hughes done? Is he at the end of his road? Is there a changing of the guard right now, or is Matt Hughes going to stick around for a while?
Coming up, we head to South Beach to check in with Thiago Alves.
When I go out to look for girls, you know?
Girls like Thiago, Thiago like the girls.
While Matt Hughes was plowing fields in the Midwest, Thiago Alves was chowing down in Fortaleza, Brazil.
Family business that we got in Brazil is bakery, so I used to wake up every day, you know, you got the bread, the coffee, you know, those cakes, and it was just eating everything. I was really fat when I was 12. I couldn't get no girls, you know, that's pretty bad. So, especially if you live in Brazil, there's so many girls out there, and everybody used to pick on me. And the fat kid, you know what, I'm gonna get skinny, I'm gonna start training. And they opened this school right next to my house, and at the age of 14, I started training Muay Thai. Everybody was, I'm gonna train Jiu-Jitsu because the greatest, you know, I'm gonna train Muay Thai, I'm gonna be different, and I'm gonna beat the out of everybody, I don't care. And that was pretty much what happened.
In some Fortaleza tournament, you know, like MMA tournament, and I went there and I saw that kid, I said, man, you know, that kid is dangerous, huh? He's only a kid, but he's fighting like a man.
But Thiago wasn't able to support himself like a man just yet. Instead, he worked as a ballroom dancer for hire.
The old lady used to pick me up in my place to go to dinner and go to a nightclub. I was 17, between 16 to 17, 18. They were like 65, something like that. It wasn't an escort service, and it was just dancing, but it was pretty fun.
But Thiago dreamed of being a fighter, and he had the skills to pursue that dream.
I had a tournament in Brazil, like a big tournament. Thiago fought there, and he won. And I brought the tape, and I said, hey, look at this kid, man. This kid can be a beast, man. If he's here with us, nobody can beat him. You know, anybody took a look in the DVD and said, man, you're right. Let's gonna bring him.
In 2003, American Top Team offered Thiago a ticket to South Florida and a place to stay. He leapt at the chance.
I'd never been out of Brazil before, you know, and I came here with $70 just to pursue my dream, you know, be the best fighter in the world. And it was pretty strange. When I got to America, I just knew two words, thank you and money. That was about it.
Thiago moved into a house with 8 other fighters. He quickly rewarded American Top Team's early faith in him.
Thiago is the kind of person with strong set goals. You know, he'll know what he wanted to do. He knows that he wants to be a fighter. He wants to be a champion.
Pitbull kicked the guy's ass so bad.
I don't see American Top Team today as a gym, you know. I see it as my family, my profession. It's my everything here. I left my family in Brazil. I miss them a lot, but I got a new family here.
Thiago also found a home in South Florida's vibrant nightclub scene.
Hey, how are you, baby? Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. When I go out to look for girls, you know. Gotta be honest, you know, I can't lie. I'm Brazilian, I can't lie. And, you know, that's what I do.
Girls like Thiago, Thiago like the girls.
Thiago has no problem transitioning from lover to fighter.
Out of the ring, he's such a nice guy. Always relaxed, always being nice. And inside the ring, he chants, you know, like it's not normal. He being a beast, you know.
He's a really nice person, but when he fights, you understand what means people.
I'm gonna hurt the guy into the end, you know? That's what people does.
On June 7th, UFC fans will find out if the Pitbull's bite is as big as his bark.
My manager, Mr. Dan Lambert, you know, who called me out, Pitbull, what's up? You're gonna fight Matt Hughes? No way. Yeah, you're gonna fight Matt Hughes June 7th. Yay, let's do it.
It's short notice and one of the toughest fighters in the history of the sport, but Thiago feels ready.
I came all the way from Brazil, to be just another guy. I came to be the guy, the number one, and I'm working on it, and I'm gonna get there.
Up next, both Brandon Vera and Fabricio Werdum are contenders for the UFC heavyweight crown. But after June 7th, only one of them will be in line for the title.
I
do not think about defeat. I only think about victory.
I am going to be bringing the heat.
Before Matt Hughes and Thiago Alves step into the octagon on June 7th, two of the world's top heavyweights will square off, angling for a shot at Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira's interim title.
The winner of this fight is definitely in the title picture. They're definitely right there.
My job is to get to the people who have the belt. I want to be a champ.
I am looking forward to have a great fight and offer a spectacle for the world, to show the whole world that I can fight for the title.
Brandon Vera has been a rising star in the heavyweight division now for a couple of years. The kid's got a great personality.
The UFC heavyweight division for sure needs somebody who can talk and try to look good for the sport. I would love to be that face.
Brandon's already a star in the Philippines, where he impresses the locals by speaking the native tongue.
UFC. Filipinos are very patriotic about their country and about their blood, and I am too. I'm a Filipino-American through and through.
We just went on sort of a tour out there, and he did an open training session, and I think 4,000 plus people came out to watch him and support him, and they see him as a hero out there.
They're making fake Brandon the Truth Vera t-shirts. You know you were starting to make it when they're starting to bootleg their stuff.
Brandon the Truth! His big coming out party was really against Tim Sylvia.
Tim the Maniac Sylvia. Big shot.
Unfortunately, in that fight, he broke his hand in the first round, and, Tim Sylvia basically pushed him up against the fence the whole fight.
I broke my hand, I lost. Somebody was supposed to come in and destroy me for my first loss, and it didn't happen that way. I'm still bitter. I'm salty about it. I am. I still feel like I owe him a fight. I didn't give him a fight that last time.
It's a setback for him, and now he wants to get his career back on track with a win over Werdum. Werdum is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt who's actually been working on his striking with Mirko Krokop.
Fabricio Werdum is working in order to be #1, to be the champion of UFC, and he is very close to it. Very, very close. He is ready to be champion.
Werdum and Vera enter the octagon with similar ambitions, but vastly different strategies.
He will stand and train with me for a while, and then he's gonna shoot. That's kind of how he's been fighting since day one.
Fabricio has shown some striking, but it's not sharp. I believe it's not as sharp as Brandon.
He wants to remain standing. I want to go to the floor.
I believe Werdum has the best ground game for MMA in the world right now.
My jiu-jitsu solid. I'm not nervous about being on the ground with Werdum or anybody. I am going to be bringing the heat.
Surely he is coming with everything. He is training, dedicating himself, but I am sure that I am dedicating myself a lot more than he is, that I am making more effort than he is.
Been watching tapes on Fabricio, and each fight he just gets better and better and better. And I know he's not going to take me lightly. Nobody is anymore.
I do not think about defeat. I only think about victory.
Fabricio Werdum was born in Porto Alegre, a city of about 3 million in southern Brazil.
Porto Alegre is a bit of everything. We have the Guaíba River, and the beach is just an hour away from here. We have the nightlife, so I like Porto Alegre. It's a complete city. This is Enco Square. My friends and I will stay here. I will be here until midnight, 1 a.m. Me and my friends talking, messing around, you know.
Fabricio's independence soon proved valuable. When he was 11, his mother moved to Spain, leaving her 3 children behind.
I was living with my father for 2 years. After that, my mother bought an apartment here, in the north of the city for me, my sister, and my brother. I dealt really well with it. I liked to live alone.
Fabricio began taking karate lessons as a teenager. He soon moved on to jiu-jitsu, developed quickly, and traveled the world competing.
At 21, I won the Black Belt World Championship. They invited me to sign a contract with Pride.
Fabricio won 4 of his first 5 Pride fights, his only loss to one of his idols, future UFC heavyweight champ, Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira. Searching for stability, Fabricio returned home.
I had this opportunity to travel and enjoyed it a lot. But the truth is, I was always thinking about Porto Alegre, thinking about coming back one day and living here.
He regrouped, scoring a submission victory over Alexander Emelianenko. The win earned him a UFC contract and a fight with former heavyweight champ Andrei Arlovsky.
And let me tell you something, the UFC, they're not going to be excited about if you put on a show like this.
I know I gave a bad impression to the American people in my first fight in the UFC.
Fabricio made drastic changes in his training philosophy, joining legendary Vale Tudo team, Shootbox.
I needed a stronger structure, and I found it. I lost a few fights for not having someone to train with me. I'm very lazy. If you don't push me, I won't train.
Shootbox is a gym with tradition. It has existed for more than 30 years. Many athletes became champions here, and many others will too. Fabricio is one of them.
Werdum, campeão do UFC, chuta
In January, the hard work paid off. Fabricio knocked out Gabriel Gonzaga, putting himself on track for a rematch with Nogueira.
Looks like he's tiring, Mike. This is very bad for Gonzaga. He's got to get out of this spot. His head is caught up against the cage.
Is he protecting himself? No! It's all over!
Werdum knocking out Gonzaga was a huge win for him. And I got to be honest on this one. I thought that was going to be a much tougher fight for Werdum.
Fabricio Werdum!
Victory for Fabricio Werdum.
Fabricio now spends Monday through Friday in Curitiba, 435 miles away from his home and his family.
It's difficult. It's difficult to be away the entire week, even more so with Julia, who is 5 months old, and me wanting to take time to be with her, to see her grow up. Here is the reason for my fights, for my combats in the UFC. Here is the reason why I fight. It's a wonderful thing. It is the best thing that has ever happened in my life. It's a different love. I've never felt this before.
For now, Fabricio will continue to sacrifice with one goal in mind.
I'm sure that for all the effort that I'm making, I will have my reward in the future. I'll be the champion of the world.
Coming up, Brandon Vera was on the verge of stardom, and then his career hit the brakes.
It's a big deal to lose time in the fight game.
I had it and it was gone. That's what pisses me off.
Like Fabricio Werdum, Brandon Vera was born and raised in a port town, Norfolk, Virginia.
Buddha, come here, boy.
But the similarities end there.
We grew up in a nice suburban neighborhood, Parkview Avenue. We had a boat we would take out straight in Chesapeake Bay. It's almost the perfect place to grow up.
Brandon's father, Ernesto, ran the Vera household with an iron fist, insisting that his children retain their Filipino roots.
We've always grown up speaking Tagalog. If he heard us speaking English, he would tell us that he's going to cut our tongue off.
Don't speak English. Kahit ngayon, hindi siya pa nag-English.
But being Filipino in Virginia wasn't easy.
And I dealt with racism all my life. It was rough. I'm an Asian kid in an almost predominantly black high school. I remember being called yellow, chinky-eyed.
By his early teens, Brandon was acting out.
I got in trouble with Johnny Law. I broke into somebody's house, ransacked it, stole a whole bunch of stuff. I ran away twice. I was a bad kid.
Brandon refocused his energy on wrestling, earning a scholarship to Old Dominion. But despite his parents' emphasis on education, he didn't stay long.
I dropped out of ODU, then I told my parents, I want to be a fighter. My dad and my mom just looked at me and just walked upstairs and didn't say nothing to me.
Already an accomplished wrestler, Brandon began studying jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai. His goal was a career in mixed martial arts.
I traveled a lot and trained and competed. I was winning tournaments.
He didn't care if he didn't have a coach. He didn't care how far it was, or even if no one came with him. He was determined to do whatever he had to do to be in the UFC.
While training in Southern California, Brandon impressed the owners of a San Diego gym. They offered him a job and a place to train full-time.
I remember I went home, I sold everything, packed up a truck, drove all the way across country. I told everybody that within 1 year I would be fighting in a big organization so that I would get noticed by somebody.
As it turned out, someone caught Brandon's attention.
I heard somebody beating up a speed bag, like, and I was like, wow, man, who the hell is beating on that bag? And I looked up and I saw it was a chick.
It took about 3 days for him to come say hi to me. We definitely had a connection right away.
Our first date was 13 hours, and then we haven't been separated since.
Carrie and Brandon were married in February of 2005. With Carrie in his corner, Brandon's career took off. In October 2005, he made his UFC debut.
Take note of the way Brandon Vera throws those knees, man.
I kneed him in his head. He hit the deck. And then I spun around to punch him. Bang. And referee Steve Mazzagatti grabbed me. I was on fire.
Brandon followed the Scherner KO with devastating first-round wins over Justin Eilers and Asuero Silva.
Can Vera finish Silva here?
Got his arm trapped, too. It's going to be hard to fight the hands.
It is all over. Brandon Vera chokes out Asuero Silva. Wow.
Next up was one of Brandon's idols.
Frank Mir was the former UFC heavyweight champion who I really looked up to. I wanted to be Frank Mir. Now I had to fight this guy. I never ever doubted myself, but I do remember asking myself, let's find out what you're about. He punched my face and I got pissed. I was like, oh, you want to fight me on my feet then? Okay. Wham!
Big straight right. Another one. High clinch, watch the knees. That one hurt him.
Mir was shaken, and it could be over quickly. Mazzagatti on top of it. It is all over. It is all over. Brandon Vera has defeated Frank Mir. What a statement.
He just dismantled him with the game plan, and especially on the ground, Frank being a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you know, that surprised a lot of people.
I'm not going to say Frank Mir was a stepping stone, but Frank Mir was for sure somebody on the list of people that I needed to fight to find out who I am.
With a perfect record and charisma to spare,
I kicked him in the head, knee him in the face, call it a day, baby, get my check.
Brandon's popularity was skyrocketing.
He is the next big thing. He is a can't-miss fighter.
Brandon was 8-0 and on the verge of superstardom. a matchup with then heavyweight champ Tim Sylvia was on the horizon.
I'm gonna be the first heavyweight champion, hold that belt, drop down, and take the light heavyweight championship.
Then, the bottom dropped out. After the Mir fight, Brandon became entangled in a contractual dispute with his management. A legal battle ensued, removing Brandon from the octagon and the spotlight for nearly a year. A window of opportunity had opened and closed.
And it just sucks being away from the cage for that long. I lost the title shot. I didn't get a chance to grab it, and that's what pisses me off.
It's unfortunate that he lost that time because, really, it's a big deal to lose time in the fight game.
In October of 2007, Brandon finally got his fight with Tim Sylvia.
Big shot!
But Sylvia was no longer the champ, and Brandon's ring rust showed in a unanimous decision loss. On June 7th, he'll restart his quest for the heavyweight belt when he steps into the octagon to take on Fabricio Werdum.
Probably the #1 dude I fought so far. He's the best, most well-rounded guy I've fought.
Brandon is motivated for this next fight because of losing to Tim. I think it is definitely a huge motivation factor, and he's thriving on that right now.
He wants to get his career back on track with a win over Werdum. The winner of this fight is definitely in the title picture.
I've been given a second chance, and I plan to use this second chance to its fullest potential. I've got a long ways to go.
Up next, parting shots from the Hughes and Alves camps.
Thiago can knock anybody out with his knees, with his kicks, with his punches.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Thiago Alves' June 7th matchup with welterweight legend Matt Hughes will be his first main event. Hughes hopes to benefit from Thiago's inexperience.
He's young, which I like. He's not as experienced. I think he put him in some bad spots where he might not know what to do.
To prepare, American top team's trainers run Thiago through a routine called bloqueo, in which he must confront a different style of fighter every few minutes.
Look around, we got the best training partners in the world. I got the best conditioning coach, the best Muay Thai coach, best Jiu-Jitsu coach. I'm sweating, I give him my blood. HEG, baby.
Thiago's camp is also busy examining Matt Hughes' 2 losses to George St. Pierre, searching for a weakness.
I learned that Matt Hughes can get knocked out, and a good striker can do this.
GSP just did his thing. He took him down, pounded him, and he just worked his way to, beat Matt Hughes.
If they're thinking that Thiago Alves is anything close to GSP, they're wrong. Thiago has nowhere near the wrestling that GSP does.
He doesn't move like St. Pierre. He's not as long as St. Pierre. He's not as big as St. Pierre. He's not as fast.
They can't look at it as say, Thiago, you're GSP. This is what happens when these two meet.
But Thiago's camp has seen enough of Hughes to come up with a strategy.
Matt Hughes' trainer is a really good wrestler, strong guy, and he's gonna try to take me down and ground and pound me.
Thiago can knock anybody out with his knees, with his kicks, with his punches. So with Matt Hughes, I go for the punches. Slow him down with the leg kicks, and we go for the punches.
That's their game plan. Good, good for them. I don't know. Everybody's gonna have a game plan.
If he put Matt Hughes on the ground, I know for sure he'll kill him in the ground and pound.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
He's not gonna be able to take Thiago and hold Thiago on the ground. So he gotta strike against Thiago, and then he's gonna be dead.
I would disagree with that comment. I think if I get Thiago down, he'll stay down. That's what my camp and I does is work on getting up, and so I'm holding people down every day.
We'll see what happens,
So will the rest of the world when UFC 85 lands in London on June 7th.
Of course, every time you walk in the octagon, it's going to be tough on a young guy. I'm sure his mind will be racing a little bit.
I'm going to lift everything. War, You got to take me out of that knocked out, pass out, the broke arm, broke leg, something like that. I won't give up.